Okay, well, let's do the Throwback Thursday for this week. On the way to work here. These are going to be some short stories about my time when I was working out of Eastern Division, and I had been assigned a permanent beat 46 in the Sierra Mesa area above Jack Murphy Stadium. Now, I was trying to decide what I wanted to title this as. I was thinking either be careful what you ask for, or what happens when you complain the cops don't do their job. But anyways, whatever I decide to title it as is what it'll be. Let's get to the story. Okay, first story I'm going to tell you about, I was working graveyard. Get called to come into the sergeant's office after a lineup. He wants to talk to me. I'm figuring, oh shit, I must have done something wrong the night before, or I'm going to get chewed out for it. But no, not this time around. He has a special request for me. A citizen had come into the department and complained about people parking on the cul-de-sac that he lived on, illegal parking, blocking his driveway, and he couldn't get out in the morning to go to work. So he wanted an officer, the graveyard officer, to come by and write a bunch of parking tickets to put a stop to it. So I get ordered by my sergeant to, at some point in the night, go over there to that street and write parking tickets. So I did. It was probably like about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I go over there, and sure enough, there's like cars illegally parked all over the place. They're parked up on the sidewalks, they're parked in the driveways, they're parked blocking the driveways, parked in front of the fire hydrant, double parked, parked angled the wrong direction. You name it, they did it, basically. So I, tell dispatch I'm going to be out for a while writing parking tickets for orders of the sergeant. Well, I wrote about 24 parking tickets on that one street, which is more parking tickets than I probably wrote in a 6-month period or a year, most likely, because I didn't write very many parking tickets. I left that up to traffic division to do. So anyways, I thought I did good. Yeah, the sergeant's going to be happy with me, right? Wrong. I'll come in the next day. Sergeant called me back into his office. Well, he's all pissed off. Not necessarily pissed off at me, but pissed off because now we got to go over every parking ticket that I wrote. He has to have an explanation of why I wrote that ticket, what they did wrong, blah, blah, blah. Because the person who had made the original complaint was one of the people I wrote a parking ticket to. He was all pissed off. Well, anyways, I think they ended up voiding out 2 of the tickets, and those were 2 of the people who had come in and complained about getting the tickets. The rest of them all stood because they didn't come in and complain. But I imagine if they'd have come in personally and complained, that Sergeant would have voided their tickets too, even though there was nothing wrong with any of the tickets that I wrote. They were all legal tickets for illegal parking. Now, the next story is this was a day shift. I get called into the office, and the sergeant tells me I got the citizens complaining of these people speeding on this road. Well, it's a long dead-end road, has kind of a downhill slope and a curve in it. And the guy that lives about 3/4 of the way down the hill is complaining that people come speeding around that corner, and he's worried that they're going to lose control and end up in his front yard or in his living room. So I'm told whenever you got the time, go over there and sit and watch for speeders. Now, they didn't deem it was serious enough to assign a radar cop out of traffic division. They were just going to stick it on me, and I was supposed to do it in between my other patrol duties. And I don't have radar. And in order for speeding tickets to stick in the traffic court, you have to be able to pace them and say how fast they were going. Well, like anybody else who pays attention to traffic, you can tell when somebody's speeding, especially when they're going over 25 miles an hour. But I wouldn't be able to write them tickets for it and have it hold up in court because there was no way I was going to pace them. So I figured, okay, I'll just write them written warnings. Written warnings don't go against your license and they don't cause your insurance to go up, but it gives something, you know, paper to prove to the sergeant that I was doing what he asked me to do or ordered me to do. So throughout the day I go over there and I sit 3/4 of the way down the road around the curve, and I'm sitting there writing my report, sitting on the hood. I hear cars coming, and of course I can tell by the sound of the engine that they're speeding. So I set my report book down and I'm standing there next to the car, and as they come around the corner I wave them down, and like good citizens they all slow down and pull over and stop, give me their driver's license and registration and insurance, and I write them all written warning for speeding. And I explain to them, of course, that it won't count against their license or insurance. And of course they were all pissed off, wanted to know what I was doing there, and I explained to them, well, your neighbor complained about you speeding, so that's why I'm here. And if you continue to speed, he's going to continue to complain, and I'm going to continue to have to come out here and write tickets. So you better slow down. Well, of course you've probably guessed it by now, but one of those people that I flagged down and wrote a ticket to was the original guy in the neighborhood who came into the department to bitch about the speeders. Well, he was all pissed off because he got caught. I would have guessed his speed at somewhere like 40, 45 miles an hour in a 25. And I explained to him he was just getting a written warning. He still wasn't happy with that. He was pissed off that he got stopped. He was getting written up for it. I explained to him, well, you know, you're the one who complained. You should be setting the example, and you know, should expect to get a written warning just like everybody else. Well, needless to say, he goes in the complaints, and the next day I get called into the sergeant's office, and the sergeant, you know, says I did a good job. You know, once I found out that he was the guy that complained, I could have been nice and just let it go. And I said, well, yeah, I could have, but you know, I explained to him that I felt since he's the one who complained, he should be setting a good example. And if anybody deserved a written warning, it was him. Well, needless to say, you know, that was the end of that. Since it was just a written warning, it didn't go anywhere. I didn't have to have it voided out, but I was then told to not go back over there and write any more tickets for a while. Which is fine, because I didn't like to go sit on residential dead-end streets to write stupid tickets. That's traffic division's problem. I was patrol. I was out there to prevent crimes, not do traffic. Okay, if I got time for one more. Got a call, got a guy complaining. People running the stop sign in his neighborhood. Almost running over the little kids going to school and coming home from school. So I get ordered to go sit on that intersection and write some tickets. And of course I do. I go over there, I sit. I write tickets for running the stop sign, failing to yield to pedestrians. And lo and behold, wouldn't you know, one of the idiots that rolls through the stop sign and makes a right turn and comes right towards me, and I flag him down and stop him. Turns out to be the idiot that complained. And he's pissed off. Well, I went ahead and just wrote a written warning because I figured if I gave him an actual ticket, he'd just go in and complain about it, and the sergeant would have to void it for public relations reasons. So that time I didn't get a complaint. I guess the person understood that he was actually wrong, and he was glad I was out there doing something about everybody else, even though he was part of the problem. So anyways, that's 3 little short stories there of what can happen when you go in and you complain or bitch that the cops aren't doing their job. You want them to do this, that, or the other thing. So, oh, okay, I got time for one more. Get a complaint from my mama about all the kids hanging out behind the 7-Eleven, smoking, drinking, using pot. They're a bad influence on her kids. Alright, so I roll over there and I run them off. After a couple of times of running them off, I figure, okay, they're still coming back. I'm going to have to start making some arrests. Guess who one of the first kids is that I arrest, sitting there with a beer and a joint in his hand? Her precious little angel. Now, him being a juvenile, You know, we'd arrest him and either take him back to the station and hold him so mommy come get him, or take him back to mama. Well, I took him back home to mama and explained to mama what was going on. Showed her the evidence, you know, the beer and the joint. Told her he was going to have to appear in juvenile court and she's going to have to go with him. So she wasn't happy with him at all. But hey, I did my job. All right, see y'all later. I'm at work. Bye-bye.